So let's first start with the Designer Series, which is really about the new modern look that we're offering to advisors. Just to give you some history on this before we show you the Designer Series. When we started designing websites in late 1996, we customized every website back then. And other website design firms that focused on advisors even then were using templates. And it frustrated the heck out of me because they were customizing these templates by putting a banner on it, and then they would call those websites custom websites when really very little else was customized. So to end the confusion, Advisor Products began making custom websites and template websites. But I called the template websites, which you know, I was hoping would allow us to differentiate custom websites from template websites. And since then, we've offered both custom or template design. But now, finally, we've come up with a way of providing something that's really in between the cost of a custom website and a template website.
You know, this is a really great addition to our website offering. I'm very excited to have this available for our customers. It's like Andy said, it's sort of a in between a custom, which is a blank slate, and a template, which sort of locks you into a particular look and feel in terms of layout of the site itself. But you know, let's take a look through some of these designs here. So, like Andy was saying, this you can have different sorts of navigation. So this particular design happens to have a horizontal main navigation and then horizontal navigation for the subpages. Each of the designs has the option to select 3 colors from your branding. You know, you can pick them from your logo. You can pick a color palette that suits your branding, and those colors are applied to various design elements through the site. So I'm going to step through what some of those elements are and some of the designs we have here. So in one of these samples here, I'm going to use my little handy laser pointer here to point out some of the things that are design elements. So this particular design has rounded corners at the top here, and it's got this sort of darker blue in the background and this lighter blue shadow around the photo. And you know, Andy was saying you can have a different photo for many of the different pages. So this area here is the photo, and then of course your logo will be placed in here. So let's take a look at the back office and see what happens when we change some of the colors, so you can get an idea of which things are changeable and which aren't. So I'm in here logged into the back office as the administrator for this site, and I'm going to jump into the admin section into visual settings. And you'll see right here primary color, secondary color, tertiary color. I'm going to change these fairly radically so we can get an idea of what it would look like with a different color palette. So I'm going to make it a red color palette. You know, this is actually a good time to point out that we've, you know, time to time we make little tweaks in the back office to improve usability and make it a little bit more user-friendly. So we've recently just added this color picker, which is a really nice addition, I think.
It's in keeping with our highly technical terms that we use. We call this a color picker.
So here, let's pick a darker color. So I'm going to go ahead and save these changes here. Let's see what this looks like when I actually go and apply it to the site.
And those are hex numbers.
Right. So you can see the. I'm sorry.
Want to just explain what that the hex numbers are kind of like. How many hex numbers are there?
Yeah. Sorry, I forget to take off my propeller beanie here and there. I tend to sometimes get a little too technical. So these numbers here, it's actually hexadecimal numbers for red. The first 2 digits are red, the second 2 digits are green, the third 2 digits are blue. So if I have 990000, that's going to be mostly red, and all 7s is gray. But again, to flip back to the design here, you can see the colors that I picked and how they're applied on the site. Another design we have here, design 2 here, has a few different design elements. You can see this navigation bar is black and sort of got a gray highlight at the top. That highlight's going to be applied to whatever color you select for your navigation. So, we tried to make it so that there's some intrigue in the design, some interest in the design, without sort of locking you into a particular color palette, so it matches your branding. Let me flip to the presentation here. I've highlighted the areas that do get changed in each of the designs. So the design we were just looking at, you can see the rounded corners are part of that design, and the colors are applied as labeled here. You can take a closer look at the presentation later on. Sure.
One of the things I want to just mention here is that design that you just showed with the picture of the cityscape is so different than this, and yet it's the same. It's the same basic template that you could use, but by changing out the photos and just doing something as simple as changing it to a city from a country sort of look, if you're going to use landscapes, then it just changes the whole look and feel of the entire site. And you could do that throughout the site, because with the designer series you can have not every page, but most of the pages on the site you can customize with photos that you choose. And we give you access to a photo library to choose those photos, and we'll even help you pick the photos.
Yeah, and if you find a photo and you're not comfortable, sizing it the right way to fit in the particular width you set your site to, we're happy to help you with that as well. So as Andy said, this template, it's ostensibly a template, but changing the colors and the widths and the photos, you can get very different looks. And this one happens to have horizontal navigation, and the sub-navigation happens to be a pop-up vertical menu here. So, you can get different looks, different feels. See, there's a different photo on this type of page here. Back to the PowerPoint here for a second, you can see the areas I've highlighted and the design elements. And then the third design, again, a different sort of navigation, different layout, different feel to the site. And I'm going to show you in a minute how easy it is to change out the pictures on these pages. And the fourth design is, again, really different, and it's got some neat design elements in these boxes, and this bar here are going to pick up the colors that you set in your palette. And it just makes it a little bit more visually interesting than your typical templates. As I promised, let's take a look now at this design and see how easy it is to swap out this photo. So I'm on the home page right now. It's got this really nice picture of a river and trees and whatnot. Let's see how easy it is to swap that out for a different photo. So I'm going to log out here and log into that site.
And keep in mind, we'll build this for you. But if you ever want to go in there yourself and change these images, you can do that. Because ideally what you're doing is you're going to be able to refresh your site, change it every year or two. And the thing that you want to be able to do also is take your content and match it to the different photos on the different pages. So take an idea from your content and bring in that idea in the photos that are on your site.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we can make a very different looking page by taking this nature photo and just browsing our local hard drive here for a different picture and uploading it. And it was just as easy as that to change the picture on the page. Now if I refresh it, you'll see the picture Andy had in his screenshot earlier. So very different look to the site just by a couple of clicks in the back office there to change the photo. I also want to point out that you can get creative with the way you use these photos and the placeholders and the way you use this logo area. We have one client who has a site that's still being built that's using this particular design. I'll show you how different a look you can get just by tweaking a few things. So they
Jim, we got a
chose
question.
Sure.
Got a question from somebody here. Are the photo rights included in the price of the design series? Great question.
Do you want to answer that, Andy, or do you want me to?
No, you go ahead. That's all yours.
Sure. So we do have a library of photos that we do have rights for you to use, which project managers can point you to and show you how to use that. And we also, with the setup fee for a designer website, allow you to purchase up to 6 photos from iStock Photo. So if you don't like what we have in our library, we have a really nice library with lots of good pictures in there, but if you don't like it, you can go through iStock Photo and we'll purchase something from there on your behalf, and we'll size it to the proper dimensions to fit on the site. So as I was saying, this is the same design as this site, and you can see it's a much different look. This customer elected not to use the logo area at all and include their logo in the banner images in this area, thereby having the effect of moving the navigation all the way to the top, and they picked a different color scheme. So you can get really creative and get unique looks just by tweaking a few things.
Before we move on, we have another question. Are we able to insert Flash media into the website?
Absolutely. I'm actually going to cover that later in this webinar when I talk about formatting content on your website. I'll show you how to insert Flash.